All right, last month's release notes, main points recap. Let's go. So the first thing you might have noticed is the speed of your site has improved. We introduced a new type of caching into our system. So go ahead and visit your site and let us know what you think. But let's go into the builder now. This is the new wooden cabin template. Now, if you go into the preview over here and scroll down, we have a slider here, but not only that, if you click one of the images, you'll see the new light box. And of course, you can have a dark background instead of the white one. And you can shuffle through the photos. Now, these are all the photos from the slider, but you can also have it so once you click this, you have thumbnails and you have separate photos connected to a specific slide instead of having just one photo from the slide. Just go ahead and look at the Lightbox video where I go deeper into these settings over here. Let's exit the preview for now and let's look at some of the other things. Let me go ahead and add a heading here. And if I edit the heading, subtitle, go ahead and see what happens here. You click somewhere else, you'll see the name of the text here in the layer changes as you change it here. But what else do we have? If you go ahead and go into the fonts, you'll now see that you have all the Google fonts. You don't need to preload them, etc., etc. They're available to you right away, and you can actually see the font as it should be, right? And if you choose the font and go ahead and click new layer style, you might notice something new. We don't have that randomly generated ID thing anymore. You can just go ahead and play around with this new clean UI here. Save if you want, as usual. All right, and the next thing we have is, let's go ahead and get rid of this for now. Scroll down. I'm just going to use one of the new elements we have here, which is columns. If you click columns, this is basically a div with some preset elements and settings. You can add new columns by just copy and pasting the blocks here. If you go to the columns and if you go to the layout, you might see that this is just a flex box with horizontal and some other settings set here by default, which you can of course change. And let me delete it and hit A again. And similar with the rows here, instead of horizontal in the settings, you have vertical. And again, you can just copy and paste these blocks to create more rows. That's that. Let me delete that. Another thing we have is now, if you create a component or if you already have components, and hit A or click the plus button here, go into the components, you can now easily rename the components from the tab over here or delete it by using the delete button over here. Another thing we have is if we go into the CMS here and go into a collection you have, and let's sort these by this field. So I'm going to click here. You see the ID, it changed the order. It's instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's 5, 3, 1. And if let's reload the page and the order stays the same. If you go to the canvas and back, the order stays the same. Here it is. And if you log in and log out again, if you log out and log in again, you'll see that the order still stays the same until you change it manually, like so. All right, and another thing we have is if you go and create, this is another template, this is our blog template, and this is how it looked in the past. If you create a CMS page, this is what you would see in the past. If you created some elements and connected it to your collections, you would see CMS page data blog post's name, right? Before you add any items with the data that would go in here, this is what you would see. Now we clean things up a bit and it's much easier. So if you go to none in your CMS page, you would see a much cleaner view here with the names of the collection. And then of course, if you add an item, it gets filled out and this is what you would see. This is what your users would see on your website. The next thing we have here is if you add new users that are designers, the designer type users, they now can change things in the settings of the project, the general settings, the SEO, domain, redirects, and tokens. And that is it. Except one last thing, if you go to the YCode website and as usual, go to templates, you'll see that we have added some new templates and we add them every week. So just go ahead and look at those. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day and I'll see you in the next one.